Hey.
I have to sit there.
You know, get the angles right. You get me?
I wish I could see the chat.
You can.
I mean, I can, but for some reason, I can't see it unless I click on it. And I
really?
Want to see y'all. Yeah, I want to see y'all. So.
No, it should be on the right-hand side. So you don't see the on the far right-hand side comments, banners, brand, and private.
Comments that no girl
on the far right.
I'm on my girl. We live. Don't trip.
Hi guys. Hey, happy Friday, guys. So this is we're doing the 3 of Cups. We're at our house today, and we're going to be talking about the higher self. So as we mentioned to you in the last video, we are going to break down the 5 dimensions of the soul and dedicate a episode per dimension. And this week we're going to tap into the higher self. And I'll be honest, like, I felt very triggered coming into this reading, big surprise. And I felt like I was in my shadow energy. And I was like, okay, well, what the fuck? Like, I'm supposed to go on and talk about the higher self, and like I don't feel like I'm in my higher self. So, you know, I'm going to do the best I can to really communicate to you guys, as the rest of the sisters are going to, our direct personal relationship with our higher self, the journey to connect deeper to the higher self. Because it's, when it comes to union, your higher self is almost like, the way I saw it is like the rest of our higher self is here, and the rest of our dimensions of our soul is trying to meet our higher self where it's at. So I'm just gonna we'll each individually share maybe our, you know, unique connection, different tips and tricks on how to better connect with the higher self, and then maybe about, you know, how we identify to our higher self in conjunction to the masculine, feminine, inner child, and shadow self. All right. Ladies, welcome. Jass, welcome. Mama D. You guys aren't guests here. This is your second home.
I know, right?
This one is like, whoo, I'm a little bit nervous. I feel nervous to do this.
I feel unprepared. Why do I feel unprepared?
Well, I told you why you're unprepared. Your shadow doesn't need your higher self doesn't need a fucking script. Your higher self is the script.
That means that it's about to be lit, because we all got different emotions about it. So it's going to be fire. That's what that tells me.
Oh, and also, guys, so I know for Mama, me and Jass are on the same time zone. Mama D is out in the UK. I know it's really late for her, but we're going to try to wrap this live up in about 45 minutes to an hour, because after this, we're going to come live again, and we're going to all read the collective for filth and each other. All right? So that'll be fun, because there's a bunch of shit coming in right now. And it's, I think all of us giving our own interpretations on the energies will be really cool. But guys, Jass, Mama D, before we start, let's pray. So I'm going to pray first, and then we'll go into this. All right. Father God, Holy Spirit, ancestors, guardian angels, thank you for rising me up out of my bed this morning, and thank you for connecting me with the collective every day. Right now, please allow us to communicate clearly all the information surrounding the higher self and any other messages that are in that can support the collective at this time to come into union with their higher self, support their higher self, and lead them on their divine path. Thank you, Father God, Holy Spirit, ancestors, and guardian angels, for all the love, support, guidance, and protection. We are nothing without it, and we are nothing without you. So glory be to the Most High forever and ever. Amen. I tried to freestyle. Okay.
I loved it too much.
So, Mama, I feel like because you're a bit older than us, not by much, but you've had a longer journey spiritually, which we talked about. And I would love you to kind of kick off this conversation with regards to your relationship with your higher self and the long road to come into union with it.
Okay.
No pressure. You see how you see, Jass, how I made Mama start this shit? Give us some time.
Okay. I mean, well, going back on what you said about the higher self being here and the rest of the dimensions trying to get to it, I feel like it works almost opposite. I feel like the higher self is here and it filters down to the other aspects in order to enlighten them on whichever thing that they need to be enlightened on, is my personal opinion, I think. Because last week when Jass was talking about the inner child being able to talk to ancestors, where is that channel coming from? What is that channel? What is that thing that allows us to read to the collective? What is that thing that allows you to write a song or to write poetry or to instinctively know that something's about to go down? What is that? That is the higher self that has been running with you since you came out of here. Your higher self is your instinct. Your higher self is your intuition. So when you say that it lives here, then it also lives here. It also lives here in the heart. It also lives here in the throat chakra. You know, it also lives in the root to get us grounded, to get us outside into these natural things. The way that I came into contact or into union with my higher self was to first of all trust that the higher self is exactly what it is described to be. The higher self is that channeling that's telling you how to move, where to move, who's not for you, what's not for you, and for your highest, greatest good. The lower self, the ego, the shadow is the one that's trying to protect you and will do anything at any cost to do that. You know, so it's learning the differentiation, it's learning the subtlety of the energy of the higher self. The higher self is very confident. The higher self is not loud. The higher self is not aggy. The higher self is not is not an energy that will scold you or tell you off. This is the ego, the lower self, that will do that. So it's just knowing that it's that mother voice, it's that higher mother voice that nurtures you. And, you know, we spoke about it earlier. We're all children of Lilith. It very well could be that energy as well. It's so difficult to differentiate because you can't see it. Nobody can really tell you what it is other than their own personal experience of it.
Mama.
Mic drop.
There you go.
Tired now.
You said I'm tired.
Well, you're tired now. Better go get a coffee.
I love it. Very well said, Mama. Very well said.
Jass,
all right.
Introduce us to your higher self.
Okay, so she was channeling before we came on because apparently she was a little indecisive about what to say to the collective. And I let her speak, and she said that the higher self is crystalline, while the lower self is carbon-based. Carbon-based meaning reliant on Earth's atmosphere through oxygen, time, etc. Crystalline meaning quantum, ethereal, infinite, and transcendental. The higher self is attached to the body of creation. The highest self is on a mission to fulfill the soul contract, while the lower self is attached to the planetary body, and it's here to observe its surroundings, patternings, programmings to shift paradigms that ultimately limit the soul's progress. I hope it makes sense because I literally just wrote it. The more attached to the higher self you become, the more in this world but not of it you are. So when we talk about being crystalline versus carbon-based, we need to be both, to be honest and frank. But unfortunately, through our incarnations, I think we familiarize ourselves with our carbon-based bodies until we come into realization of our crystalline selves. So a lot of the higher self's purpose is to fulfill its mission. On my channel, I talk a lot about how sayings such as like rest in peace are super boxing in the human consciousness, when in African traditional spirituality, we love to say rise in power, because it shows the multiple ascension processes and missions that the spirit truly has. And scientifically, they will tell you that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So that means that even when we transcend our flesh, the spirit itself, the soul itself, cannot be killed. It cannot die off. Nobody can kill your spirit, pretty much. So when we talk about the higher self, we have to look at the fact that Earth is truly a stepping stone on many of its missions. And Earth being the school that it is, the higher self has a lot of lessons, a lot of beautiful ones that it has the ability to learn here, because of the emotional system that is associated with being carbon based and attached to this planetary body. It allows the higher self to graduate at so many different powerful levels that other solar systems doesn't give the spirit or the soul the opportunity to do. So when we talk about light versus dark as well, you guys, the higher self being on a mission, and light sometimes being so fast that it can't even be measured. The speed of light, you guys, the speed of light is so fast that it can't even be measured. And when you disintegrate this flesh, that's what you're left with. You're left with your light body. You're left with your life force. You're left with that portion or that piece of yourself attached to the body of creation. And that force within itself, that speed of that light within us, it moves so quick because it's here to get shit done. That's what the light in the higher self is pretty much here to do. We're here on earth to change this, to evolve this, to ascend this, and to also change ourselves, evolve ourselves, and ascend ourselves. It's a joint mission. It's like a dual mission. So when we talk about the lower self, like Mama just tapped into, that is how you navigate in this world full of things that will honestly harm you. You have to be discerning. You have to be aware. You have to be a little of this world. So we have a little piece of this world with us. So that way we know how to navigate ourselves properly and protect the spirit while it's on this soul mission and on this soul's journey. So the higher self, like Mama also said, it's beyond this human emotional system. Does it overstand it? Absolutely. But your higher self doesn't judge you. That is your ego. Your higher self has the ultimate patience with you. Your ego is usually what puts that pressure and applies that pressure to create that diamond. But the higher self is well aware of every route that you may have to take to get to your same destination, because your soul mission, your spiritual contract, that is your fate. And like me and Des was actually just talking about, the destiny that goes with that fate is actually your free will and how you choose to flip your place while you're down here. Nevertheless, your spirit is on a mission to get you to where you decided to go before your incarnation. However you have to learn, however you have to grow, whoever you have to come into contact with, that is how your flesh comes into play now. How you're maneuvering the spirits within this vessel is a tag team effort. But the higher self, I feel like, ultimately wants to ascend all of these energies back to the body of creation, you guys, because the higher self is that life force that we all share. It is that law of mind, or all is mind, that connects us all to one another. We are all created equal. So the same type of higher self that I had, you got one, your damn self, and we're all attached to something that created all of ourselves. And the beautiful thing about the higher self being on this mission, or this earth school, is the fact that it has something as beautiful as the lower self to assist it in such a foreign land. So the goal is to truly be in this world, y'all, but not of it. And the more you get in tune with the higher self, tap into the higher self, the more that you actually can do that, slowly but surely.
That was beautiful, Jass.
Honestly. That's all. Make it drop. That was beautiful, yo.
I feel a lot of pressure now. I should have gone first.
No way.
No, not at all.
No
because
way.
at the end of the day, Destiny, you've been, and many of us are here because of the work that your higher self has forced you to do. How did you get here? Do you understand?
So I've been actually doing a lot of, I guess, higher self work because I've been in such a lower vibrational energy. And I realize that a lot of this karmic twin flame journey people talk about is very similar to the dynamic that I see surrounding my higher self and my lower self. Not even my feminine or masculine energy, my higher self and my lower self. I feel like my higher self, in a sense, was chasing my shadow, and my shadow was running. And this lifetime, there was this as I shared with you guys when we talked about the shadow years ago, I read a letter that I wrote to you guys, and essentially I realized that I came back in this lifetime. My higher self was tasked to come back on earth this lifetime for my shadow and my book, i.e. my Bible. I'm a high priestess. We all have a Thor. We all have a documentation of our ascension journey. And when I was channeling what the reincarnation process essentially looked like, so what judgment day looked like, when I died, what I channeled, the last time I died, I went to God and I was like, look, I did great. I was a great person and I did great things. And I talked pretty much about my higher self, my feminine, my masculine, and my inner child, everything that they did, but I completely ignored my shadow. So I essentially had abandoned my shadow here on earth, very much like Jass said. There's that crystalline energy and then that very earthly energy. When I died, my higher self was like, bye. And I completely left my shadow behind. And God told me, I love all of you, so bring me back all of you. And that's what my higher self has been doing this whole time. That's very much a part of why I come to you guys the way I come to you guys, about reclaiming yourself. Because when you go to God and you realize you're not complete, and you realize your lack of self-love is the reason why you don't go back to your creator complete, and then you realize your creator loves all of you, big part of our mission. And yes, you guys will do great things for people and impact people and move and shake. But a lot of what our mission and our purpose is to reclaim ourselves. And that's what my higher self, I believe, was tasked to do. Now, ironically enough, I pulled the Hierophant card. You guys know the Hierophant card, the traditional Hierophant. I unfortunately don't have a deck. I'm not prepared. But the Hierophant usually shows this priest with two people down, kind of looking up to the Hierophant. And I realized out of all the tarot cards, I didn't really connect with the Hierophant like I do with the High Priestess. And I realized that the Hierophant and what you're looking at is essentially the rest of your soul beseeching your higher self. So if there's anything that I bring to this, the only thing I kind of walked into this session with the ladies, with you guys knowing is that our higher self is very patient and kind and understanding, but it doesn't mean that it hasn't been hard for the higher self. We do the inner child healing, inner masculine healing, inner feminine healing. But what about the higher self healing? The part of your soul that has been trying to do everything that's in your best interest, that wants the best for you, that wants to move you past your limitations, make these quantum leaps. And I know when I was in karmic energy, I pissed and I spit on my higher self every day. Bitch, what the fuck do you know? Meanwhile, my higher self knew everything and didn't shame me, just was patient with me to understand. So that's why I believe our soul ascends up to our higher self pulling us like this. Like this ball and fucking chain. And it's exhausting. It's fucking exhausting. And I had to, when I talked to you about this Hierophant energy, I was very emotional because I felt sorry for my own higher self and all the disrespect, the doubt, the lack of faith, the contradicting, the selling out I did to my own higher self. My higher self has gone nowhere. My higher self, I was pimping out my higher self. You know why a lot of people can't read for themselves? Because they pimp their higher self out, especially tarot readers. We don't connect for our higher self. When I started my tarot journey, I wouldn't go within. I would use my higher self to do readings for people. And then in my own time, I wouldn't read for myself. I wouldn't tap into anything. I was pimping out my own higher self. So guess what my higher self said? We're done with personal readings. And my higher self has been done with personal readings for a long time now. And it was because of that. My higher self was done with that. So I've struggled with coming into union with my higher self. I can feel my shadow's rejection. I can feel my masculine feminine energy questioning my higher self. How dare my masculine feminine energy do that after everything my higher self has done for me? So this is why this is a very triggering reading for me, because I have to do higher self healing. And my higher self is strong and doesn't cry out and lash out like my shadow does. Well, I need healing and fuck you and all this shit. My shadow will make everyone know it's in pain. My higher self will make no one know it's in pain. It's the strongest part of my soul. So I introduced to you guys my higher self. You guys know my higher self very well, because that's a big reason why I don't read a lot, because I try to only allow my higher self to read for you guys. But before I came even on here, I was talking to Jass, and she's like, maybe your shadow needs to communicate some things. And it's true, because I realized that my intuition isn't just my higher self. My intuition communicates through every part of my fifth dimensional soul. My shadow will telepathically tap in to the darkest, evilest lies, deceit. My shadow will point at you and be like, my shadow will look at somebody and be like, you know, they just lied to you, right? You know they're a thief, right? My higher self, though, will find the God in everyone, will respect the human in everyone. So I struggle with that. I struggle with my shadow that judged all of you and has fun doing it. And then my shadow self, that my higher self, that doesn't want to judge and just wants you guys to know that we're all the same. We're all just human beings trying to ascend and bring down the new world. My higher self sits there and fantasizes about that world. I don't even want to do this today like that, yo.
Just do it however you want to do it, Mama.
I'm done. I said my piece. I'm fucking crying again, yo. This is ridiculous. I'm not even on my
period. Together. That's the whole. Ain't this why we're here?
Like, drop the mic after that.
We're supposed to be healing together. And the reason why the three of us have been brought together, because our higher selves are like, listen, if it's me, then it's you, if it's you, then it's me. I'm going there. You know, like, the fuck you mean? You are what? 33. You should not be doing this at 33, bro. I was a bubbling mess with no. I didn't even know what my higher self was. What do you mean? I was just out here in survival mode. And I feel like survival mode is another modality in our multi-dimensional being that can sometimes allow us not to trust the higher self. Because when you grow up in a we're from the ghetto, like we're from the hood, like no one here had any type of privilege. So when you grow up in those circumstances, it's very difficult to believe that something within you can orchestrate and be the architect of your experiences. You can't believe that shit. The fuck you mean that I've got that within me? Obviously, Destiny, the way that you are describing your relationship with your higher self is because you went through the system and they got you good. That's it. They got you good. So the whole point of this ascension thing is to unlearn everything we've ever been fucking taught, because it's been a lie. And the more that we unlearn, the more that we unsubscribe, is the closer that is the better relationship that we have with the higher self. You know, this is again like we've all been saying, the higher self is compassionate. You know, the higher self is patient. It doesn't have a time span because it's eternal. It doesn't go anywhere. It's an eternal energy, like the all, like spirit. So therefore, you know, this process that we're going through, doing all of the healing that we've been called to do at this time, is is to support one another as we're doing this, to allow this to be a dialogue and a conversation. Who talks about higher self healing? The fuck you mean? I think we've just done something different here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You ain't lying, Mama. You ain't lying.
Where would you have gone before now to get the support that you needed for that baby? You see? So now it's just a matter of, okay, now that we've all acknowledged that that is a healing that needs doing, or that is something that we need to give ourselves more time to integrate. Because the higher self is forever on it. All those angel numbers you see, all those songs you hear, all those overheard conversations, all those, that's your higher self guiding your bomber clock to wherever the fuck you're supposed to be. So it's not a matter of shitting and pissing on the higher self. It's a matter of, you know what? I wasn't even ready for the higher self, because now that I know that I'm the architect of my life, who can fuck with me? Not a body. And before, I was really scared of what people would think about me. I wanted to have friends. I wanted people to love me. I wanted all of these things from the ego, from the lower self, from those wounds. You get me? From the inner child wounds. Not realizing that if I tap, the more I tap into the higher self, means the more expansive my life becomes, and the more love that floods in, because the higher self only attracts that. And Destiny, you can say what you like about your higher self and your relationship, but we love the fuck out of you, and so do 150,000 subscribers that have tapped into your energy.
Higher self, yes.
Your fucking higher self. That means your higher self hasn't only been working for the collective, because if it's me, then it's you. It's been working for you too. Bam.
Drop the mic. Drop that mic.
You bitches, you fucking witchy bitches. I can't today. I fucking can't today.
You need to receive that. You do. You do.
Just
Let
take
your
it.
higher self receive that. You need that. You really do. I just wanted
But
to
you,
bring
but you
up
guys know, out of that 150K, there's probably only a good 15,000 that fuck with us the long way.
Doesn't
Just saying.
even
Well,
matter.
we'll take
even
the
matter.
subscription anyway for the algorithm. We'll take the subscription for the algorithm. Let me have it.
No.
We'll take the thumbs down. We'll take whatever we can get. We'll take it. But
All jokes aside, Mama, I appreciate you, and I'm trying. I'm fucking trying. My friend, I text my friend today. I'm like, I'm not in a good place. She goes, Destiny's doing the best she can today.
I love
like,
that. I love that. I love that.
That's all.
Sometimes we need to be nicer to ourselves, you guys. Never were we supposed to have all of this figured out. So if you find that every day, you know, you learn something new, or you do something different, or you're striving towards this highest version of self, or the best version of self. How about lately I've been talking about the favorite version. This is my favorite version of myself, because when you talk about high, we looking up now. Some of that shit feels so unattainable, so unachievable. I'm striving to love the favorite version of myself. That might be some bitch today that y'all see, might be a totally different bitch tomorrow. But if I favor her, that's all that matters, because that means that my only competition was the person in my past, and that is myself, you know. But I do want to bring up some exercises that I had shared with the ladies. I literally dreamt about this, so I believe I'm supposed to share with the collective. One of the exercises that I've done throughout my whole entire spiritual journey in regards to getting to know my internal dialogue, and that so you can better familiarize yourself with higher self cues, messages, clear audience, things of that nature. Say your name out loud, Jasmine, and then say it in your head. So that way you know that that's you. And every time that you have that little voice in the back of your head that, like Mama said, is guiding you, protecting you, sending you where you need to go, you trust that voice, you follow that voice, you know that voice. We have to start doing these exercises with our internal dialect and dialogue a little bit more, so we can become better to decipher our voice, higher self, and the enemy's voice, because it's two totally different voices. Okay, guys? The next exercise that I wanted to share with you guys was to find out the meaning of your name. If you want to go all the way down to last name, use your maternal last name, because we all have a belly button. We all come from a womb man. We were all given birth from a woman. So the matriarch's last name is going to give you a huge piece and part of your identity. So when I woke up out the dream, literally, I think I hit y'all 9, 10 a.m. this morning, I hurried up and did it. I listened to the ancestors and I was so fucking shocked, okay? I was so fucking shocked. I was just, period.
What does jasmine mean?
So apparently jasmine means a gift from God. Period.
I know that's right.
Dominique is my middle name, of the Lord. Sabah means witches. Did I tell y'all bitches that shit this morning? No, I don't think
It's
I
done.
said that one this morning. How about my mother's last name means witches? Well,
I
my
love
higher
it.
self is comfortable, bitch. My higher self is just like, I want y'all to practice that, because I feel like that is a coded message. If you're truly seeking identity, if you're truly seeking purpose, if you're truly seeking mission, how about we dive a little deep into our names? Because even in ancient Egyptian culture, there was something powerful called the Cartouche. And the Cartouche was how people would spell out their name after they die. And that is how the name would be spelled on the grave, on the burial site, on the tomb itself, because people who walk past your tomb, walk past your monument, they will forever call out your name, and that venerates your spirit in the afterlife. So our names are truly powerful, because a lot of us don't realize that our parents did not name us. A lot of you guys might resonate with Dessa's story about how your parents may tell you, like, nah, sis, you told me what your name was going to be. Or somebody, an angel, told me what your name was going to be. I knew what your name was going to be in a dream. It's because we name ourselves. We know ourselves. The higher selves gives direction to even the parental figures in your life, because nobody truly has dominion over your soul but you. So your name within itself, collective, I heard and I channeled, is truly powerful. And if you go into the deeper meanings of your name, you will have a deeper understanding of that soul contract, I guess.
Can I just say a story, just because I was sharing it with Jass? So my mom had me as a teenager. And of course, her crazy ass was playing with some Ouija board with her and her friends. And like, they're in some basement. You know how it be. They make this Ouija board. Okay. And so when I grew up, the reason why my mom told me this, she didn't tell me until years later. But when I was a kid, she always said, don't play with Ouija boards. I'm like, who's playing with Ouija boards? We're trying to get N64. Like, no one's playing with a Ouija board. But okay. So my mom tells me the story where essentially her and her friends are fucking around with this Ouija board. And she, long and short, said there was a spirit. It looked like a child. It sounded like a child because there's these different tones. My mom said a demon came in at one point. She said like the straight devil came in, but she goes, there was this sweet little energy spirit that came in and spelt out destiny a couple of times. Of course, my mom names me after some fucking spirit on a Ouija board. Like, what happened here? But my mom, and that's what I told Jass before we came on, when she was saying this, telling us, looking up our names. And I'm like, my mom just told me, like, I'm pretty sure you picked your name. And maybe I did. Maybe I'm in the ethers being like, this is my chance to tell this bitch, like, it's not going to be Rachel. It's not going to be Karen. It's got to be Destiny. So anyways, I 100% agree. Yes.
I wanted to ask Mama D, because Mama D is a mom. Do you resonate with, when it came to naming your daughter, that you kind of felt it versus actually named her?
Okay. You guys are going to see how shallow I am, okay? So,
if it was on the side of some snack box, Mama, just spare us now.
okay, so I went to an all-girls school, yeah. And there was this white girl there called Lisa Shea, and she was always in trouble. Like, this bitch was in trouble every fucking day, and she loved it, and we loved her for it. And she had a little cousin called Blue Jay, and her little cousin was really cute, this little girl. And I said, when I have a daughter, because I knew I was going to have a daughter, I am going to call her Blue Jay. So that's how my daughter got her name, but her dad wasn't that cool with the name, so he called her Kia. And so then she got all the names. She got Kia Blue Jay. Now, in a past life experience, it turns out that I had a sister wife called Kia, who I actually murdered and took her son. Now, the story's very, very deep. Like, it's crazy. Kia picked her own name so that she could remind me of the karma that we had. Like, I'm being serious. So the names are not a joke. I believe the children pick their names. And Blue, like, I call her Blue, her dad calls her Kia, she calls herself Kia Blue, right? So she resonates with the fact that her name Kia is connected to a past life and that her father gave it to her and not me.
Right.
Wow.
That's deep.
That's deep. That's
okay,
deep.
but Mama, what was your name? So my name. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm a deep witch. Like I've been living in this carnation. Like,
word.
Mama, you sent your name. You did your name this morning, right? You sent
I'm
it
gonna tell you that. Okay, so Mandisa is a South African name from the Xhosa tribe because I'm Xhosa. I can't say it, so don't judge me. I was born here. So Mandisa means sweet, but I also found out today because of Jazz's guidance that my name's also an Egyptian name, which runs back to the Hakia incident. We were there when that all happened. But anyway, so, and Marilyn, okay, so my mum said that she called me Marilyn because of Marilyn Monroe and she loved her, right? So that's why that's why my name is Mama, because it's Mandisa Marilyn. So the Marilyn bit though, blew my fucking mind because it said Marilyn means sea of bitterness. Sea of bitterness. I was like, okay.
Polarity to sweetness.
Yes.
And then it says drops of sea, star of the sea, rebelliousness, exalted one, beloved, and the wished for child. And I am
you're our beloved.
Yes. When you sent it to me earlier, I almost responded Sour Patch Kid because you just seem like you sweet and you sour.
That's her nickname, Sour Patch.
You like the Powerpuff Girls out here. You don't know what you gonna get when it comes to Mama D. You just don't know.
I like that.
Me too. It's like polarity.
But yeah, the rebelliousness, I was like, I named myself. I've never used Marilyn as an identity. I'm like, what is that name? But then I've got a friend of mine, Axel, who does these amazing trips to Egypt, 10-day tours. Yeah,
I love him. Omega Axel on Instagram.
That's my brother. So he was here the other day to get his hair done. He went back to Egypt on Wednesday. So he said, Marilyn. He was like, your name's not Marilyn. He said, your name is Lynn. And I was like,
ooh. That hits different. That hits way different.
I was like, whoa, I like it. So now, anybody calling me Marilyn, fire bun pan you. My name is Mara Lynn.
Mara. I love that. You might
name. I was like, I like that.
Can you break your name down, Des? Let us know a little something. Can you let us know a little something about your name?
Oh, so when Jass sent that into the chat, I looked it up and I thought I knew what my name meant, but I had a very basic elementary understanding, which actually wasn't correct. So if you asked me what my name meant, I would have told you fate. And that's actually not true because destiny and fate are two very different things. So fate is essentially what is said will be done. So it said, so it go, meaning it's written. And then destiny is essentially, which makes total sense about paradigm leaps and you got to do all this shit, which is essentially your ability to be able to change that. So I got it wrong. I was looking at it like this is fated, this is destined, but everything about my spiritual journey was like, why aren't you going to make changes? Like, aren't you going to choose what your fate is? Are you going to? So it's that destined path. That's why destined and fated events are two different things instead of destined events just being a synonym for fated events. So it got me to it kind of actually irritated me because it put pressure on me, because there are certain things that I wait. Where's fate? When's fate going to get involved? And that's not how I'm meant to live my life, clearly by my name. And in many other areas of my life, I didn't wait for fate. I said, fuck that. I don't like how it is right now. So we're going to make changes and we're going to do what we have to do to change this shit. But then in other areas of my life, I just sit around waiting for fate to happen. So I felt very triggered, like, oh, God's trying to show me if you're not getting action in certain areas, it's because you're waiting for us and we're waiting for you. So there was that. But yeah, destiny.
I love it.
Me too.
And just with regards to, because I know the ladies were mentioning, like, and I know Mama, you have to still mention, but Jass was talking about like what practices, what things you can do to get closer in union with your higher self. My personal favorites is I will smoke myself out. Like I'll smoke out my own inner demon and I will sit here and I will overwhelm myself until I'm on a nod. Okay. With frankincense. The other one is going out into nature. If you can find a trail, if you can find a forest, you can find somewhere that's off the beaten path anywhere. I know a lot of you guys are in the city. Find a way. If Mama D can find a way to do a whole fucking offering, okay, we can find a patch of grass somewhere. But what happens is nature is the easiest way to channel you information. So I'll go and I will sit on a park bench or at my favorite spot where the sidewalk ends, and I will channel information from birds, from anybody who's on the Patreon already knows. You know, I'll be sitting out in nature and there'll be some salmon beating up against a rock. And now it's 35 minutes about how we got to not give up and be the salmon and keep going. Like, so if I'm ever struggling to channel, I'll go outside for a little bit. No headphones, no music. It will interrupt. It's your shadow trying to block out what your higher self is going out there to channel and download. Even when you're driving. So when you're driving, that's a great time to channel. The problem is we block a lot of that out with loud music. So driving, smudging, and nature are the three ways. I'm sure there's more. You know, sisters like Jass and Mama D are going to teach me and help me come back into union with some of the spiritual practices that I essentially moved away from out of fear of being hung and burnt again. So these are just the few that I've got right now, but I will be expanding on that, because the more ways I give consciously an opportunity to connect with my higher self, just the more. A lot of the confusion you guys have is because you didn't take enough time to meditate, or you didn't take any. You sit down, you meditate for half an hour, and all of a sudden you're not so confused anymore, or you feel a lot better, or because you gave opportunity for your higher self to do what it does. Sacred space, meditation, going out in nature. So actually consciously say, I need to connect with my higher self today. Go out and do that for half an hour. Go for a drive with no music. And then write down what you channeled, and you'll be shocked. But yeah, Mama, what about you?
Okay, so
I know you witchy, hella witchy bitchy. What you do?
I'm not, I mean, I ain't no more witchier than y'all with the whole nature thing. But one thing that I find fun to do, you know, is to give all of my aspects of myself an identity. You know, I know exactly what my inner child looks like. I know exactly what my higher self looks like. My higher self is actually androgynous. You know, it doesn't really identify anywhere. It's just, and I like them to have conversations with each other. So I like to give them. Have you seen that? Have you seen that movie Split? Yeah, with Split.
Split?
Yeah, and it's about this guy that's got a numerous amount of personalities. He's locked up, obviously, and he's got. Did a fly just jump on my head? I feel like some bug just. Anyway,
it's your higher self. It's your.
So he's got these numerous personalities, and what happens is not only does he express them through voice, he embodies them. So he dresses as them. He even has female energy. And say that so and so's got the light, or we can't talk or whatever. It's such a great film. You've got to watch it. Split, yeah, it's wicked, and it's a series of 3 films. I think it's Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson did the first movie together, Unbreakable or some shit like that, and then we got Split, and then
I loved Unbreakable.
Oh, shit, that's my shit. Yeah. So anyway, so I like to. My higher self has an identity. When my higher self is talking to the rest of them, everybody's listening. When my inner child's talking, everybody's listening. When my shadow is talking, everybody's listening. We're all listening. But then ultimately, I get the final say. Ultimately, I get to choose if I'm going to listen to my higher self, if I'm going to listen to the inner child, if I'm going to listen to the shadow. Ultimately, I give everybody an identity and a voice. And sometimes I embody them, like completely be dressed like that for the day. And that's who I am for that day. So that for me is a way to really like integrate. People call that, what they call that, bipolar, split personality disorder, all of the things. You know, me, there is some shit flying on me. It's there, and it's a ladybug. She went round the back now. You'll see it.
Don't touch her.
Is it a ladybug for sure?
Don't touch her.
You'll see her. She's around.
Don't kill me. Mama's like, she's around.
Don't touch her.
Can I just read the ladybug spiritual meaning? You know me with the fucking spiritual meaning things. So what is the spiritual meaning of the ladybug? The meaning of the ladybug spiritually often relates to elements of domestic balance, inner peace, environmental security, and good health. The colors red and black are both associated with the root chakra, which is the energy that a ladybug represents. And the omen is thought to bring good luck, abundance, and protection to who encounter them. Thank you, Mama D, for bringing protection into the live.
She's
in most European
on your
cultures, they are
crown.
seen as.
You see her.
I see her. She's chilling. She's on her crown. She probably went towards the back of
Oh my God, I see it.
Oh, she flew.
Oh, and killing a ladybug is seen as terrible bad luck.
I would never.
Mom's like, I would never.
I would never.
Mama's gonna get off this live and go find the ladybug and chill with the ladybug for the night and download pure messages to this pussy rock.
That is another way that you can tap into your higher self. Your higher self understands the language and the vibrations of all things. The trees, when you put your hand on a tree, information flows through you. Your higher self filters that for you, gives you the downloads for that. As we say downloads, that's another thing. When you're talking about you've got a download, that's your higher self channeling for you. That's your higher self being that conduit for you to take something in. So like, it's just a matter of acknowledgement. So now really and truly, everybody lives here. My higher self lives here, my inner child lives here, my dark, my light, my masculine, my feminine, everybody's here. And it's just like, it just depends on what I'm going through in the day. And I'll just be like, Pam, while I'll be like to my masculine, are we going to go out and get that money? Well, like, what's the strategy? What's the plan? What's the plan? How are we moving? And then we give it to my divine feminine, and my divine feminine is like, this is how we grow it and we cultivate it. You know, it takes time in here. It takes time in here because everybody needs to be heard. Everything needs to be heard. Even the devil energy, the same energy.
See how you just, I'm sorry, Mom, to cut you. You see how you just said the devil? See Jefferson McNabb? Tread very carefully. You're strange and you're bringing a very, and I'm low vibrational enough. I've my shadows made sure I've seen you, Jefferson, or whatever your name is. You got to stop. Go ahead. Sorry.
That was nasty.
It's all right, Jefferson, because we have to acknowledge this energy also. It exists within us and without. So it's just a reflection. Do you know what I mean? Like, everything gets a say. So if you want to know how to really tap in and connect with the aspects of yourself, embody them. You know, like a superhero embodies their aliases. You know, right. Clark Kent will put on his glasses and his what? And he's Clark Kent, but let him put on his spandex Who is he? Something else. It's Superman. You understand?
Yo, mom, can you do a video on your channel one day where you break down the Marvel series?
Yes.
Yeah. Because Mama D will collate the entire Marvel series to a spiritual journey. It's wild. And I don't even watch Marvel.
It's a
I'm a Marvel head. I love comics.
So is she. So is mom.
I love comics. I'm here for that whole series.
But we were talking, she broke down how the whole thing was linked to the story of Lilith and like this whole thing. And I was like, the fuck? So yeah, just a side note.
Well, I'm a bit of a geek for it.
Me too. Me too.
We should do it together. It would be so dope.
I'm down. Whenever you write it.
Yeah, guys. And then Destiny also said, write and shit down. You know, like write letters to yourself. Write letters to the different aspects of yourself. My higher self is. That's why I believe. You know, Destiny. I'm here for. I mean, we're open. Everything. There's nothing. There's everything, like you said, polarities of the same damn thing. So if you believe that it's coming down, and you believe that it's coming down to bring us up, and I believe that it's coming up to bring us down, whatever the fuck it is, it's still this energy that continuously is trying to communicate and to get us to our highest greatest good. So if you write letters to yourself, imagine you write a letter to your inner child, that beautiful letter that you read to yourself for your inner child destiny. Where do you think that came from? Where do you think all that compassion and all that love came from? That's your higher self letting your inner child know, baby girl, you did great, man. Look at where you are now. You're here. You know, that's how the inner child, that's how the higher self talks to you. So your higher self is your cheerleader, but not the ego telling you that you're the shit and you're the best. Your higher self will tell you, yo, you're doing a magnificent job. Thank you for being of service. And now carry on. Do whatever the fuck. Your ego will have you out here acting like you're something better than you.
So true, because anytime I do that, it's always my shadow. Like I'm either not shit or I have to be the best.
Yeah.
All these bitches. It's like better than who, bitch? Like where you know what I'm saying? But it's not, and it's not authentic to how I feel, because my higher self doesn't give a shit about none of that. Just like you said.
And it's just like the higher self doesn't give a shit about none of this twin flame shit neither. Higher self looking at the whole thing like, what the fuck are you on? Like as you are, okay. Here. I just want to play out for you. But I'm telling you, anything that you could possibly want and need is me co-creating with the divine, co-creating with this vessel. That's all. So really and truly, the anything stupid, man, everything stupid. The higher self thinks we're stupid, but won't tell you that we're stupid.
I feel that.
They will just
higher self is just exhausted.
Man, she's not exhausted. She cannot be exhausted. She's eternal.
So then the part of me that's is exhausted is the parts that are in resistance to my higher self. That's why I'm feeling tired. Okay.
That's why you're tired. Your higher self.
I just wanted to share two things, because both of y'all hit the nail on the donkey. Honestly, I feel like the best place
I haven't heard that thing in a while.
Like both of y'all really just like pinned it on there real deep, but that's because nature is also, you have the animal kingdom, you have the plant kingdom, and these are the shared life forces on this planetary body. Anytime you come into close proximity with another energy that has the same life force that you have the ability to replenish. So earthing, which is getting out into nature, canceling out what we call white noise and white light. So when you live in the city, you don't see your stars because of all the man-made light. When you live in the more city and fast-paced areas, you don't hear little things such as crickets in the breeze and the ocean, the tides of the ocean, because you got all of the cars and the other man-made sounds surrounding you. So earthing allows the electrons, protons, and neurons within the vessel to recharge, recalibrate, and reconnect with the same electrons, protons, and neurons on Earth's surface. I also wanted to share something that I've been doing throughout my whole spiritual journey, and that's mirror magic, or just mirror work. Looking yourself dead straight in the eyes and crying, talking, laughing, singing, dancing, connecting with your image, connecting with your soul, connecting with yourself on a more intimate level where there's no distractions, there's no obligation, there's no nothing, no judgment whatsoever, but knowing that you are as above, so below. In this moment, this space is safe for you to connect with the above version of self. Another thing I wanted to share with you guys, and it may or may not resonate, this is just a personal thing that I do. I was raised by shamans, and I was always told that one of the biggest facades that was given to humanity that caused a lot of programming was the fact that we all believed that in 1969, some white man went to the moon and was fucking live broadcasting that shit. In 1969, y'all, we had
wasn't there a flag? Wasn't there an American flag blowing in the wind, and somebody's like, "There's no wind up there."
So what I do, because what I've been told was, your higher self is not of this world, but the way to exit this world, we've been looking at it all wrong. The bottom of the ocean is the entrance to space. So whenever I get near a body of water, I only brought up the whole facade shit because, y'all, the way we look at our globe, the way we look at our planetary body, it has been pushed into our subconscious to perceive it this way. But there are many entry points on this globe and on this planetary body to access other dimensions, to access portals, and to access outer space. One of those portals is the ocean. Whenever I get close to the ocean, I put these locks right in there and I float, and I let my locks just literally turn into antennas, and I absorb all of the ancient Lemurian, Atlantis, and any extraterrestrial energy that wants to come to my crown. That is powerful, you guys. If you go allow your hair, your antennas, it don't have to be locks, and go let that shit just connect with the ocean. Earth is 70% water. The majority of her soul memories are embedded in that ocean. So a lot of your Akashic records, a lot of your soul memories can come back to you when you reconnect with the predominant element on our planetary body, which is water. So that was just something personal that I do. I can't not do it. I could retwist my hair today. If I pass a beach tomorrow, fuck that retwist. I'm putting my hair in the ocean. That's just how I'm going.
Since we're on the topic of locks, and both of you sisters have or had locks at a period of time, I know with the Rastafari and the culture in Jamaica, like locks are a very pivotal part of your spirituality. They're seen as antennas, things like that. Mama has cut her locks off before. Jass is starting her locks a couple of years in or whatever. What do you guys have to say spiritually, just while we're on this topic about the locks?
I just want to quickly say, Jass said that, you know, this planet is 70% water. We're 70% water. As so within, so without. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? So your connection, our connection to the ocean is a download that's been coming through from the oracles since last year. Now I'm just going to share something wild with you. Like, I haven't shared it really deeply anywhere. So like I had this download or this dream or this whatever that said that when the slaves were brought over, because obviously indigenous people were already on the Americas. This is your land. But when there were some transitions with boats and people, they said that the people that came from the Africas, they themselves were able to do breath work, because breath work is a big theme in this time as we're transitioning. So they were able to reduce their breath so much so that they were being dead, you know, when they were seen and thrown overboard. But they also were able to breathe under the water. And the download that I was given is that those people with those little holes in their ears at the side here are the ancestors of the water people, of the indigenous people. And they are really about to be known in these times. We're going to see
I
that.
believe it.
And America as well are known for flooding out a lot of indigenous people's cities. They didn't only bomb things, they covered them in water. So again, if energy never dies, these energies of these people that were buried alive with water are, they're bound. If we are going through the fourth into the fifth dimensions, the fourth is the realm, is the spirit realm. We are actually in the spirit realm. We are no longer in the third dimensional realm if you allow your consciousness to elevate there. So if you want to talk about the connection to the higher self is in her or its element right now. And there's never been a time in our human history where the higher self has been able to communicate. Not like times before that, it'd be talking about times like in Atlantis, times like in Egyptian times, when the higher self and the lower self had this type of relationship. So now we are back in those times because we are floating through these different dimensions that Jazz was talking about, quantum leaping and these things.
I also wanted to just add yoga. Y'all, like, you want to silence the body, silence the mind, and literally witness the breath move your body in whichever direction you want it to. I wouldn't even throw yoga in there because I don't want people to think that they have to physically do activities. Pranayama specifically. Pranayama is the Hindu technique of breath work, like Mama was just saying. Prana meaning the life, yama is the force, and it's through the breath, through the element of air. There's several different, there's 8 different methods of pranayama. One of my favorite ones to connect to my spirit is kumbhaka, and that is retention breathing. And that is what swimmers typically utilize to practice having that mind control over their lung capacity during the duration of time or the length of time they have to swim and breathe. So kumbhaka breathing would be taking a deep inhalation and holding it as long as you possibly can, finding that stillness between the emptiness of your vessel and no breath existing, but realizing that there is still something housing the vessel without the activated prana going to and through your lungs. So holding your breath is a great way to reconnect to your spirit. Eliminating the flesh's utilization of oxygen is a way for you to reconnect to the soul that's embodying the flesh.
You can also do that. That's a beautiful thing to do in your spiritual baths. Just take and go under the water and stay there for as long as you can. Hold your nose, and you definitely have some type of connection. But going back to Destiny's question about the locks, you know, in Nigeria, there's these children called the Dada children, and these children are born with locks on their head, and when you cut their hair, it grows back as locks. It doesn't even form like as we see Afro hair. And these are meant to be very sacred children, very spiritual children. They don't cut their hair. I have one client, because that's my profession, who's a Dada child. He's now 20 years old with his formed locks. And, you know, obviously being a teenager, he wants to integrate. So he comes and he gets his hair styled up a little piece. But really and truly, even he understands the sacredness of him. And having that time with him showed me that this child is brilliant. He is brilliant in the arts. He's brilliant in the academics. He's brilliant in sports. He's just a brilliant child. So can you imagine that this hair that we have with the locket, the power that it holds? And I think obviously, you know, I was told that I was a fashion dread, you know, but there was nothing fashionable about my process of having the dreadlocks. From the time that they were put into my head, I cried, you know, when my first locks formed. And then ever since that process, I know that my connection to spirit became stronger because of the time that I had them for 17 years before I cut them all off. But it was time. I gained enough knowledge, and it was my guide or my higher self that said, cut your hair, because what the hair had become then was almost a shield for me, almost a blanket and a cover for me.
Like a hijab.
They were like, show yourself. So I ended up shaving my head clean off. And I can honestly say that I probably would never go back to locks unless I'm like maybe very much later in my later life. But allowing myself to have now my afro hair, which I was then taught to hate as a child, is allowing me to build a relationship with my inner child. It's allowing me to be a lot more expressive with the different aspects of myself. Do you understand? So the hair is just not hair. I know that many people, indigenous people, believe that the hair is the crown. But what happens if you have a condition? What happens if you have alopecia or you have, you know, cancer and have to go through treatment and your hair falls off? Listen, my darling, your hair is part of the process, but it's not all of the processes. It's not all of who you are. So the importance of the energy of what the hair holds, yes, it is sacred. Yes, it is to be honored, but it's never to be worshipped.
Beautiful.
And I wanted to also add on, it is a spiritual journey, you guys. So I do feel like when you lock your hair up, anybody who's watched my channel will tell you the moment that Jass locks started to drop, I was a totally different bitch. I wasn't the same person. Like when I locked my hair up, it was just literally like death to the old me. And it had a lot to do with identity issues and my self-love journey personally. So before I did it, I didn't think it was going to be as spiritual as it became. It was more so a self-love thing for me because my mom, being a hairstylist, a celebrity hairstylist, all my life, I was her guinea pig. So I was winning best hair, middle school, high school. I was constantly switching up my look, but I was so codependent on my look that I really had no attachment to my inner beauty standard. And I was really, really looking at the external beauty standard, which is predominantly a European woman. All of our models that we were idolizing, all of the people popping up on our television screens, we as Black women, we didn't have representation. So this was very rebellious for me, to be honest. I was going against my mom's profession. I'm not your guinea pig no more. You ain't about to test all these wigs and all these bundles and all this stuff on me. And I was also going against the grain, to be honest, because to lock my hair at such a short stage too, I got the derogatory looks. I got the people looking at me who didn't understand what it meant to me, but it is truly a testament to my ancestral dignity and my ancestral sovereignty and reclaiming the type of beauty standards that I ultimately seen for myself and within myself. And anybody who's on a personal reading with me knows that this is a struggle. I don't wear it on my sleeves, but this is a struggle. It's still a struggle to be able to wear my hair like this in its most natural, raw state and be comfortable and be okay with it and still feel sexy, still feel feminine. So what turned out to be a self-love journey ended up being so much more. It paid me spiritually as well. And I do feel like I'm more connected to my crown chakra once I locked my hair up and realized just how our hair grows straight up to the sun, y'all. So it is a receiver. It's receiving stuff directly from the sun. And, you know, I'm only speaking for 4C hair or African hair, obviously, but I do feel like I connected myself closer to my higher self in the messages that come through the crown chakra when I stopped putting all the chemicals and the extra stuff into my hair, because we don't need it, y'all. We do absolutely.
Yeah, I've stopped dyeing my hair now. That's why whenever you see me with like extensions, they're grey now. Because I've just decided like I'm just gonna love everything natural that's happening to me, that's going on with me. Just gonna go with the process and not try to interfere with it at this point. But another thing you're saying about your locks, baby, like the afro grows out to the stars, into the heavens, but the locks grow into the roots.
Oh, that's
Like,
true, yeah.
it's a beautiful, like I say, it is a beautiful experience to go through the locking process. And D, you know, I got you whenever if I get my hands on you, girl, if I get 6 months
you
me, like I'll be like, yeah, it's time, mama, we're doing this. And I'm living here for 6 months to help you maintain it. Like I've got you, girl. I've got you.
The forehead though.
Babe, don't watch the forehead because it's a Syrian forehead. Mine is from Syria. It's massive. Like, you know, and it's all right. It's all good. It's all good because
big forehead girls do it better. We do it better.
It's all good.
Do what better? Like what?
Everything.
Do I do?
Everything. Look at Rihanna. She's got the biggest forehead on the planet. But look at her.
Yeah, Desi, I would love to see your hair locked.
Oh, locked? Oh,
That's
locked
what
up?
Mama was talking about. She was saying she
That's what I was
got
talking
you.
about. Remember, you were talking about when you're ready to lock up. But I'd have to come and live with you for 6 months to maintain
To
it.
maintain it for you.
Well, if you're not locking my hair, it's just never going to happen. I have not had a hairdresser touch my hair in going on 8 years in spring.
You don't need it. You don't need it.
I need a full high priestess in my fucking head.
Mm-hmm. I told you I was so hyped for Jamaica because I was gonna come Rasta and just let Mama D do what it do. And
listen, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
It's happening.
It's happening.
Period.
And guys, the only reason why it's not happened now is because your hood's favorite oracles ain't fixing to get the jab. They'd have to take us dead.
It's like
that's all. It's very simple.
So I also wanted to open. Well, no, you don't need to because you found your way out. Nah, we don't need advice. We don't need suggestions. We good. We good getting to Jamaica.
What are you saying, Dee? What are you saying, Mama? We're doing this collective reading, like never been done, never been seen.
Guys, are you guys ready to be read for Phil?
You're doing that.
You're not ready. You're not ready. You're not ready. You're not ready.
You're gonna need. Listen, I feel like we're gonna shut this video down, and because I need a smoke break, and I don't really want to.
Well, it's okay. They'll see us. So I'm gonna make the new broadcast. Send the link, and then we'll give us 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. And we jumping right back on, right?
Oh shit! Oh, the fucking cosmos are coming down today, guys. Oh fuck. All right, we'll see you guys in 15 minutes.
Stay tuned.
Thank y'all. We love y'all.
And next week we're back to Mom's house.
Out. Yeah. Bye.